Hi everyone, and welcome to the season finale of this second season of Behind Your Eyes. I have Kelsey here with me. Hi Kelsey, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Kelsey Kuehl. I live here in the States, in Kansas in particular. I'm an energy healer, shamanic practitioner. I use ancient healing techniques that our ancestors used.
Mhm.
And I'm trained in several different modalities of healing. Um, and I'm a mom. I've got two kids, 7 and 9.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm really excited to be here, and I'm so glad you invited me on.
Thank you. I always start with the question, sincere, how are you doing?
I'm actually doing really well. My kids just went back to school
Yeah,
last week. And so for
yeah,
me, it's like a breath of just, oh, okay, because they are here all summer running around. But I do feel, collectively, I'm very sensitive. So I feel I feel that I'm kind of in a rare situation because a lot of people seem really anxious right now and overwhelmed, nervous. So I feel that as well at
yeah,
times. I can feel it. It's almost like I can feel it coming in, and then I have to sit with it and be like, it's actually not mine, and that's
right.
okay.
Yeah,
And that a lot of people are really feeling bombarded by whatever's going on in the outer world right now.
yeah. And could you tell a bit more about how you got into like spirituality and healing?
Sure. I actually I worked in corporate in a
Mhm.
business with my husband. We owned 6 restaurants,
Mhm.
and I was working like 80 hours a week and coming home to two little children at the time. They were babies, and I actually got very, very depressed and run down and overwhelmed. And I just knew I was not living the life that I was being called to. And um, I kind of had basically a breakdown, or sometimes in the spiritual world, they'll call it like a dark night of the soul, where you just
Mhm.
feel like everything it comes collapsing on you. And had a really, really hard year. It was just one thing after the other.
Mhm.
I went on a healing retreat, a yoga retreat with a
Mhm.
woman I had studied yoga with many years ago. And she had a sister there. Her sister was an energy healer, which is what I do now.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about energy work. It was not in my peripheral at all.
Mhm.
She introduced me to really what she did was she saw my potential, and she kind of was like showed me a way forward that
Mhm.
I couldn't see myself.
Yeah.
And it was almost like someone just took a slingshot and just let go. And I got really started getting really curious about how to heal myself,
Mhm.
because everything that I had tried up to that point, all the traditional stuff,
Mhm.
didn't seem to be working with me for me personally. And that's not to say that it doesn't work for someone else. It just for me it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so I got on this my own healing journey that was very spiritual in nature. And I just slowly started feeling myself coming out of this hole.
Yeah.
And I realized that through that healing journey that I had the ability to help others heal as well.
Yeah. Because your list of like you're a spiritual healer and yoga teacher, shamanic practitioner,
Yeah.
Reiki master, and it's quite an impressive list too. And I feel a sense of like a deep passion to heal others as well. Could you tell a bit more about that?
Yeah. I think, sometimes I think God will put us through certain
Mhm.
situations, because how can we help others if we've not also been through it?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of my clients, when they come to me, they have usually by the time they get to my office, they have a sense of lack or brokenness or feeling lost or
Mhm.
feeling alone. And by the time they get to me, they've exhausted everything. And
Yeah.
I've been in their shoes. I know all those feelings. And I also was able to crawl out of that deep hole.
Mhm.
And so I think that I have a lot of experiences that I get to draw from and help others.
Yeah.
It was really, I never saw myself for the longest time as being a healer or
Mhm.
some, I never saw myself like that. And luckily I was surrounded by a lot of people who did see me like that and kept
Yeah.
building me up and lifting me up. And then eventually there was just a day where I was like, yeah, I can do this. I can help
Mhm.
others. I can
Yeah.
show them what I did and the tools that I used. And if it works for them, great.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the same position as you are. I'm a coach, and I've been through phobia and PTSD, and going through all that and trying to heal myself. And now I teach others how to heal themselves because, yeah, I've been there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's most rewarding, you know.
Right.
I I love this quote by, I think it's Tony Robbins: "Make your mess your message."
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And definitely you want to, even today, like I'm not perfect. I
Mm.
still have days where I feel overwhelmed or where I feel the anxiety creep in or
Yeah.
I feel, the remnants of depression creep in. And I don't see those moments anymore as something bad.
Mhm.
I try
Yeah.
to honor those moments when they come in because usually it means there's something in my life that I'm not seeing or
Mhm.
some part of me that I'm neglecting.
Yeah.
And so when I feel that coming in, I'm like, okay, this is an opportunity for
Mm.
me to pause and maybe an invitation for me to go deep into myself and see why I'm neglecting myself or where it is that I'm not taking better care of myself. And then it's an opportunity to course correct and make those little changes to get back on track. So I don't ever, yeah, I love that quote because I don't see the mess as something unwanted or
Right.
negative. I see it as, okay, this is an opportunity for me to
Yeah.
check myself.
Like a stepping stone to a new level.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And being an energy healer, how do you take care of your own energy? Because I think it's quite important to to have healthy boundaries and
hmm
protect your own energy, and working with energy and healing people with energy. How do you protect your own boundaries?
So so when it comes to my energy, I think that there's three really important things that I teach all my clients to do. And it's one to have some kind of clearing or cleansing practice
Hmm.
because our energy field is like a sponge. And
Hmm.
every morning we wake up and we interact with people and we just interact with the environment in the world. We're constantly like soaking up
Hmm.
all these energies from the
Yeah.
outer world. And it's not that they're all bad or toxic. It's just that a lot of times that energy isn't for us. Like I
Hmm.
mentioned at the very beginning of our introduction that when you asked me how I was feeling, I was like, I can feel the overwhelm in the
Hmm.
outer world. I can
Right.
feel the stress and the anxiety. And so we pick up on that.
Yeah.
And to clear or cleanse ourselves energetically is to really, at the end of the day, to just like get rid of all that. So we're
Yeah.
not carrying it into the next day.
Yeah.
So, I tell people, you can work with the water in your shower and just ask the water to just cleanse your whole field of anything that's not wanted or not helpful for you
Right.
going
Yeah.
into the evening. Or some people like to, work with crystals or sage themselves. I
Hmm.
think salt is a really good tool too, like a little salt scrub while you're showering or a little salt in your bath. And it just
Yeah.
cleanses the energy so you're clear and
Yeah.
you're carrying around other people's energy that's not helpful for you. So that's the first practice that I think is really important is that you stay really clear and that you're only holding your energy and
Yeah.
your vibrancy and your life force.
Yeah.
Because if you're holding other people's, that's not serving you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
I work out
yeah,
to release negative energy, or I go on a walk and I say, okay, please release everything that's not helping me move forward.
exactly. And it is a conscious practice, wherever you place your intention or, just to step in the shower and get clean isn't going to work. You have to have the intention that I'm going to step in this shower and I'm going to let it release
Yeah.
anything that's not mine. Or when you work out, you have that conscious
Yeah.
intention that this is what I'm going to do. And
Yeah.
then, so cleansing or clearing would be my, my first thing that I have. And then secondly, you want to have some kind of grounding or calming practice. And for me, it's about being in meditation, or deep breathing exercises really helps pull you into your body. So you're present, you're calm. Like you said, going outside in nature, that calms and grounds a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's really important. Most people actually don't live in their body. They live outside of their body, or their energy is like on their phones and their devices, and it's really not here.
It's outward focused.
Exactly. It's almost like their energy is up here when it needs to be, here. You need to be present, and that's where you feel calm and healthy. So having a grounding or a centering practice is important. And then the final thing we were talking about, boundaries. And for me, I think that has a lot to do with just protecting your energy. Because once it's cleared, people and energies, they like to infringe upon you. And so having clear physical boundaries is important, but also having energetic boundaries, around your home and around yourself. Which for me is just a lot about having, again, that intention that anything that's not for my highest good is not allowed in my field. It's not allowed in my home.
Yeah.
And
even if you step inside your house and just say to yourself, I'm not bringing any negative energy with me, and then enter your home.
Yeah. Leave it at the door.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, you noticed like a shift, like people's overwhelm, you can feel it and sense it. And I think I feel it as well. And I think there's like two extremes. There's like the shift in the positive, but also the negative, exactly like the overwhelm, but also more awareness of what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's very interesting to see, because do you also think there's a shift in how like mental health is being perceived and spirituality is being perceived?
Yeah, definitely. And for me, it's because we're learning that we have layers. We have our physical body layers, we have our mental layers, our emotional layers, and then we have another layer to us that's spiritual. Or, call it your soul or your spirit or your essence or your life force. But we have spent, just kind of as a society, and especially in the Western world, we've spent so much of our energy kind of focused on this part, the physical stuff and the mental stuff. And we have great tools to address those layers. But as a society, because we can't always see the energetic part of us or the spiritual nature of us, we've kind of gone so far to one extreme that we've neglected those spiritual layers.
Yeah.
And I do feel like a lot of people and just humanity as a whole is starting to recognize we've neglected the spirit for so long.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people are just craving to return back to some kind of balance where we're honoring our body and our spirit at the same time. Because for a lot of people, they're just very focused on the physical. And that's why we live in a world that's really consumed with like greed and power and money and, and everyone's overweight because they're obsessed with food and and so we return to a balance where we're honoring both, the physical body, but also honoring that there's something else to our existence that can't always be seen, but we all know it's there.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's like we are so focused on the outside of us, but when we reconnect to the inside, a lot will just like evaporate. We will feel a lot better and healthier and happier. And yeah, I feel like that shift is coming, that more people are starting to realize, like, okay, there's something more, there's something deeper here.
Yeah, and from a shamanic perspective, that our ancient ancestors who, before they had modern medicine and all these technologies, if somebody was physically sick or mentally sick, they always knew, their belief was that the root cause always started on a soul level or an energetic level, that there was some kind of energy imbalance that wasn't addressed. And then over time, it kind of manifested or grew almost like a cancer into those other layers, the mental layers and the physical layers. And so from a shamanic perspective, if somebody comes to me and says, oh, I have pain right here, or, oh, I'm, dealing with these mental thoughts and they're not serving me, my question always is, okay, well, where's the root cause? And let's look into your energy field and see what's not being addressed.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of looking for, okay, my muscle is hurting, let me get a medicine or something, then you go deeper and find the layers that are causing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm reading a book now. It's called When the Body Says No. And it also shows how, like, every disease, as you said, it not disease, but disease, is caused by, of like most of them are triggered or caused by what's going on here, or how your mindset is, what you were taught as a kid, or it has so many layers. And we're just starting to come to terms with that. It mostly starts here, and what your mindset is, what your beliefs are, what you were taught as a kid, and from your parents and your family, everything that you absorb as a sponge when you were a kid. Like, you can still feel and believe that as an adult, and that is what can cause disease.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those, especially when we're, as a child, we are really conditioned in a very specific way.
Yeah.
And, our parents tell us who we are from the moment we're born. There's all these expectations. Society has expectations. If you go to church, there's that other layer of expectation.
Yeah.
And it shapes your reality. It shapes what you believe and who you are. And then as adults, as we get older, we start to realize that not all of that is actually empowering for us. Not all of that is actually good. Some of that left a really deep impression or a wound on me. And those wounds go really deep, really deep.
Yeah. And I think it's so important. I think we still have a long way to go, but even at school, it's important to teach, math and geography, English, and so on. But like, why don't you start at this early age to talk a bit more about how to express your emotions, or how to deal with other people invading your energy and setting boundaries? I'm like, oh, I wish we would be able to teach that at school already.
I agree. I agree. I actually was at my kids' school last night because they just went back to school, and I went to a session where I was talking to the counselor and the school psychologist, and they were giving us questions to ask our kids every day. They don't just ask your standard question like, how did it go? How was your day? But one of the questions they said to ask was, what was the most challenging part about your day? And we did that last night. We asked my son, and he immediately was like, and just started talking. And he's like, I had to retake this test because the technology wasn't working. And it made me frustrated. And he named it. And I was like, wow, that was a great tool. But I agree. We're not educating our children how to handle these things, and then they get to be adults like us and they have to go start all over like we did.
They have to learn how to regulate their emotions as adults.
I know.
Like, okay, good luck. 1+1 is 2, but now you're on your own.
But now you're a mess, and
good luck. But what are your techniques and to stay mentally healthy?
So I do have a meditation practice. And I try to get a lot of time in nature because nature heals me. This, being in the sun and being in the garden and being outside. And when I can't be in nature, as you can see behind me, I've got lots of plants inside. So that just helps. But I I think there's a direct relationship between our physical body and our mental health. And
Mm-hmm.
so many people are very overloaded with toxins and chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
And, in my work, what I see is that when physically you're not taking great care of your body,
Yeah.
spiritually your aura gets very dense and clouded and overwhelmed. And then mentally you start to take on that fog and
Mm.
that feeling of overwhelm or anxiousness or stress. And
Yeah.
so that actually has been one of the best tools for me just to stay mentally healthy is to take care of my body first.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
Yeah.
it's going back to those layers. If you take care of one layer, then
Mm-hmm.
all the other layers are affected.
Yeah.
I talked earlier, I have spiritual practices where I clear myself, I ground myself, I protect myself, but
Mm.
physically, I also take care of my body and make sure that it's as healthy as possible.
Yeah.
And I'm not overloading it with toxins and chemicals and even just junk. Like,
Yeah.
all the news out there and all the social media, like I try to stay clear of
Yeah.
it. I care about what's going on out there in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I do keep myself informed when I feel that I
Yeah.
can handle it. On
Right.
a good day, I'll keep myself up to date with what's going on. But I really like the saying, I care, but I don't carry.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
other people's problems aren't always my own, and that was a hard lesson because I used to take on everybody's problem
Yeah.
and feel like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Yeah. And that you have to come up with all the solutions for everyone.
But mentally, you can't do that. You have to take care of what's in front of you, which for me is my family. And if my family is happy and they're well fed and taken care of, then I'm good and I'm doing my job. And um, So yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's just these little steps that I take every day. Every day I get to make little choices like,
Mhm.
do I want to eat the bag of chips or do I want to, go
Yeah.
eat a piece
Sometimes
of
we do, but
fruit? Sometimes I eat the chips. They make me happy, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. To me, it's also like I always say, self-love is the foundation that you build upon. So if you, I see like going out to the gym or working out, I see that as an act of self-love. So when you change your mindset about that, I'm like, I'm doing something that's good for me, good for my body, but also good for my mental health. You shift that perspective from, oh gosh, I hate working out, to I'm doing something that's benefiting me in many ways.
yeah, that was a hard lesson for me to learn actually, that being selfish
Yeah,
and actually taking time out of your day to care for yourself is actually not selfish, because
exactly.
when your cup is full, you get to overpour
Yeah,
into everybody else.
yeah,
But
yeah. You have to fill your own cup first, and what's overflows is for everyone else.
and when you're depleted, it's
Hmm.
not serving anybody.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
when I'm depleted, my family feels it. The whole
Hmm.
house kind of goes whoop.
Yeah.
But when I take the time to go do my workout or to go take care of myself,
Hmm.
it's amazing. The whole house thrives because I did that. And same with my clients. I'd never be able to do what I did, what I do if I wasn't constantly putting myself first and
Yeah,
myself first.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what would you advise people that are like at the start of their healing journey?
What would I advise? Don't get overwhelmed.
Hmm.
Especially the new age community seems to move very fast, and they seem to think that they know the exact path that you have
Hmm.
to take. Um, it can feel really overwhelming. It's like, where do I start? And I
Right.
tell people, just start with the one thing that excites you, like
Hmm.
the one thing that lights you up, and it's going to come from here. It's
Hmm.
not going to come from a teacher or anybody online or any healer. It's going to come from in here. Like, what is the one thing that kind of lights you up,
Hmm.
and just go forward.
Yeah.
Um, and then you slowly, like we're doing little tiny baby steps every day
Hmm.
toward wholeness,
Yeah.
feeling whole spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and you can't do it all at once. So
No.
just pick one little thing. For
Mm.
some people, it's a physical thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing yoga, or I'm going
Mm.
to start working out 30 minutes a day, or going for a walk 30 minutes a day. For some people, it's a spiritual thing. Like I'm going to start, maybe saying more prayers every day, or
Mm.
reading scripture, or this particular book or topic is really interesting to me. So I'm going to start there. But just follow your heart. And, I teach people a lot, like only you know if it's a yes.
Yeah.
Only you know if it's a yes. I
Mm.
can't tell you what to do. You can't tell people what to do. It,
Exactly.
and everybody's path is unique. If you start trying to follow somebody else's path, it's
Yeah.
not going to feel right. You got to follow your own path. And I think as long as you are open to, I'm ready to start healing myself and walking that path of wholeness and walking that path of healing, the first step always will show itself when you're ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it might surprise you. So you have to be open to whatever is going to reveal itself. But
Yeah.
it could be really small. And
Yeah.
you take that step, and then the next one will show itself. And
Yeah.
healing's a journey. It's a process. I'm
Yeah.
not
Never
healed
ends.
or whole. I'm never gonna get there. I tell my clients, I'm like, once you get to that place of 100% you're healed and whole, what is the reason to live? Like, we
Yeah.
might as well just die, because
Yeah. Then you're done.
so I always tell people,
Yeah.
just enjoy the process and
Yeah.
just take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
Your body guides you. It
Yeah.
will guide you.
I always say find what feels good. You will know it and you will feel it when it works for you.
Yeah, you'll feel that expansion in your heart, or you'll just feel that kind of excitement.
Yeah.
And you gotta trust that, because immediately after your body kind of lights up and says yes, your brain will go, oh no, but that's scary, or I can't do that. Your brain will automatically start telling you all the reasons you
Yeah.
shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So you
Like
gotta
it was
trust.
nothing, you know.
Yeah, you gotta trust. I felt the yes, and I'm going with that. This
Yeah.
thing gotta just quiet down a little bit.
I'm not gonna listen to the no.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Find what feels good and go with that. The rest will follow itself, slowly but surely.
great.
Yeah. And what is the best advice you were ever given?
Oh my gosh, the best advice I was ever given. That's such a good question. So one of my teachers, Malidoma Somé, he's from West Africa. He was born in an indigenous tribe. And he told me once, Kelsey, you're connected, just like everyone, but you're connected to God. And basically, as long as you're walking with God and you're walking a holy life, and you're, staying compassionate and loving and kind, you will never be empty.
Mhm.
You'll always be full, even when you don't feel like it. You will always have access to a never-ending supply
Mhm.
of life force and vitality and energy.
Yeah.
And I've always trusted that, and that's why everything I do, I try to just walk like, what would God do?
Mhm.
And and I think that that's really important. I remember that even on days when I felt empty, I'm like, no, I'm a child of God. We all are, and we all have access to that infinite light that
Yeah.
fills us up and teaches us about love and compassion. And so I remember that connection that I have, and it's served me well for the last several years.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And do you believe in like having a team of light or a team of angels, and do you like a connection with the universe?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we all come into the world with a team of
Mhm.
spirits that are committed to helping us in our life.
Mhm.
And I think in a lot of ways, they've promised us, I'm not going to let you get too far off your path.
Mhm.
And they protect us and they guide us. And a lot of times they're the ones kind of showing us the next step. We don't
Right.
even realize that that's spirit. And I tell people, because I do work with spirits in my work, and a lot of times I can see when a client comes in, and it's so interesting to me because a lot of times people feel very alone in this world. And especially if they're going through like something spiritual, like a spiritual awakening or something, they feel very alone, like nobody knows what I'm going through, nobody understands.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, I'm like, if you could just see the support that you have behind you, like you have thousands and thousands of ancestors and angelic beings and all kinds of spirit guides standing behind you. If you could see the love and support that is right there at your back, you would never feel alone. Ever.
That's amazing.
And yeah, I mean, there's just, again, going back to what I said earlier, is we have that infinite supply of power behind us and energy behind us. We have to ask, though, because benevolent beings, compassionate spirits, they honor our free will. And so if we're not constantly in communication with them through our prayers and our intentions, a lot of times they're standing behind the clients going, she didn't for me to help or intervene. And they're like, they'll say to me, like, my hands are tied, like she's not giving me permission to assist. So it's important to have some kind of practice of prayer or communication with whoever you want to pray to, but you have a whole team of spirits behind you that want nothing more than to see you succeed in life and to live your purpose fully, 100%. And so they're there assisting us at all times. But the more we engage with them and ask for their assistance, I think the more it helps. I mean, the more powerful they can be in our lives.
Yeah. And my final question, I always end the series with this question: when are you at your happiest?
My happiest. My favorite thing in the world is at the end of a long day. And both of my kids, they're 7 and 9, so they're kind of at that age where they don't always like crawling on mom's lap. But oh my gosh, when they crawl on my lap and the 3 of us are just sitting on the couch all cuddled up under a blanket, I feel like the world just stops. And in that moment, everything is absolutely perfect. There's nothing, there's nowhere else in the world I'd rather be than with those 2 on my lap.
Sounds very blissful.
Yeah, it's perfect. And it's so simple. It's so simple, but those simple, quiet moments are best.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kelsey. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much.
This was wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.